This video is brought to you by my generous backers over on Patreon. If you'd like to support the channel and get cool perks like access to the Discord, seeing the videos a week before anyone else, or an entire video dedication, then feel free to check out my Patreon. The link's in the description below. This video is dedicated to Outlaw. Outlaw, thank you for supporting the EDH channel. Yuriko, the Tiger's Shadow, versus Oloro, Ageless, Ascetic, Selvala, Explorer Returned, and Atraxa, Praetors Voice. And I did say that we need to bring strong decks here, so I'm assuming that Atraxa is Infect. Oloro's probably Control, it might be Pillow 4 or Super Friends, not too sure about Selvala, that tends to be more of a combo list. So I think turn 1 for us is Viscera Seer, so we'll shock that down, and then we can swing in with Viscera Seer and get down Yuriko straight away. Never played this deck in multiplayer before, and it's a highly competitive game that we're in here. Not EDH, but a very competitive one, hopefully. I told people to bring strong decks, and yeah, this is the type of deck where every single play you make matters. Oh dear, and we're seeing a Tabernacle first. All creatures we have to pay 1 for. Well, so much for the turn 2 Yuriko. That's one way to slow people down. But it allows us to get the Creeping Tar Pit in. So we have to pay for the Viscera Seer, luckily. Our commander doesn't worry about command attacks. So we'll certainly pay for the Viscera Seer. Oh, that's a shame. Arcane Signet would have been good to get down, but we'll go for the Creeping Tar Pit. And we'll swing in at Oloro just to keep that life total down. The first 2 games that we played today were up against patrons, and it turned out that they were pretty, I don't know, stronger games than people were expecting. I don't really know how to explain it other than that. I had fast mana on both of the games, you've probably seen them already. I had fast mana in both of the games, I think, which is a huge benefit in the start of the game, as you all know. And so I think people have fallen for the trap of thinking that a deck is stronger than it is just because it performs well under fast mana. But a couple of the patrons did request a stronger game, so we're up against Outlaw, running Atraxa Go-Go with Selvala, and then this is an internet random because there was no one else around to play. And they're obviously on Oloro, getting down Declaration of Naught. And they've named Atraxa on that, surprised they didn't go for Yuriko. We will pay for Viscera Seer or Mana Crypt, that's really, really good. So let's get down Mana Crypt into Arcane Signet, and that can take us into Yuriko. The Mana Crypt should help us keep both of our creatures when they're both in play. So let's swing over at... yeah, I don't like that Tabernacle. I don't want to suffer the wrath of what is probably an Infect player. But we're going to go in over there. Then go for Commander Ninjutsu onto Viscera Seer. And we'll see if we can reveal anything big off the top. Yuriko does deal damage to everyone, so it's actually a pretty good multiplayer commander. Alright, Swords to Plowshares going on that. Seems a bit hasty to me, especially with only a few cards in hand, but still. It sets us back a turn with Yuriko. Does mean that we don't have to put as much mana into keeping Yuriko in play next turn though. Although we could have ninjutsu'd it out of the command zone anyway, even after it went down to Tabernacle. There's one thing I've noticed with Magic Online as well, and you'll hear people complaining about it all the time, that they'll have multiple games in a row in which they get mana screwed. I've had 3 games in a row in which I get into fast mana. 2 of which was Mana Crypt, I think one of them was Sol Ring, so I have had plenty of recording sessions and playing sessions in which I just get into fast mana all the time. So there is something strange about the Modo client. Oblation going on to the enchantment, the counter enchantment. So Oloro just using that as card draw. We have to pay some mana into the Viscera Seer. Alright, a Chroma's Memorial for us is what we would have revealed, dealing 7 points of damage to everyone last turn, so go goes Swords to Plowshares was actually pretty good there. And then do we want to go for Higger of the Still Wind? I mean, we'll get to search for something, and we've got the mana held up. Yeah, I think we go for that. So we'll go in at Oloro again. That will deal some damage to Oloro, and it will allow us to search for a ninja. Now, I can't remember what Fallen Shinobi does. There's some that aren't in my 1v1 list. I think Fallen Shinobi sounds pretty good. Yeah, let's go Fallen Shinobi with this one. Then we'll play an island. We'll go in for the Viscera Seer again. And I think it might be an idea to go for an unblockable ninja, actually. Probably should have done that instead of the Fallen Shinobi. Now a Rhystic Study from Atraxa. Selvala revealing off the top a land, an Elvish Mystic. There's a Jet Medallion, and revealing from us an Ornithopter. Playing Swiftfoot Boots into the study and paying for the study. Then Boots goes on to their commander, and Elvish Mystic comes down as well, and they pay the tax again. Now the Jet Medallion comes down that was revealed off of Selvala. Liliana Vess puts something big on top, but we can't get our Yuriko down. So I think we just get down Yuriko and replay Viscera Seer. So we swing in again. Then obviously there's no blocks, so we'll return Viscera Seer, go in for Yuriko. That will only ever be 2 mana as long as we can have an untapped creature. So we'll hit with 2 ninjas here, trigger Yuriko twice, and Higger of the Still Wind will trigger as well. Let's go for Yuriko on the stack first. And we'll grab something out of our library with the other ninja. And why don't we go for the Changeling Outcast? Just in case people start getting blockers down now. Then we reveal Arcane Denial, that's a good one to hold up. And a land we haven't played yet, so just dealing 2 damage to everyone. We'll go for that Reliquary Tower. Go for the Changeling Outcast. We'll pay 1 into the study. And then to save us discarding a card, I think we'll just have to give our opponent a card with the Rhystic and get down the Ornithopter. Atraxa sneaks down over there. And whilst I was chatting away, thinking of my next turn, I accidentally passed through and allowed an Atraxa to hit the field. Whoops. Also noticed that an Urborg has come down as well, not sure when that hit, but all of our lands tap for black now, which is good because we've got some colourless and blue lands here. And Outlaw has revealed Deploy the Gatewatch, so it's obviously Super Friends. That was revealed off of Selvala. Sakura Tribelder going into Rhystic Study but being paid for. They revealed a Plains. A Whisper Silk Cloak being revealed over here. And then we obviously got into a Swamp. Then Song of the Dryads going on to... Yuriko. I mean, we have to Arcane Denial that, don't we, really? If I had the Viscera Seer in play, it wouldn't be a problem, but... yeah, I'm glad I didn't counter the Atraxa now, actually, because that would really mess us up, potentially. Feed another card into Rhystic Study. And I don't mind feeding Go-Go a couple of cards there. They're only at 1 card in hand and struggling a little bit on mana. I mean, they've got 6, 7... they're not too bad, actually. Ooh, Force of Negation coming from... where is that coming from? Coming from Outlaw, and they exiled Tezzeret Artifice Master in order to do that, so they would have gotten down their Atraxa anyway. I was going to go for Liliana Vess and get a Strip Mine for this thing, but it might be that we have to Strip Mine our own Yuriko now. Although we could try and rely on Fallen Shinobi and try and get some green enchantment removal from over here. See what we feel like. Treacherous Blessing from Oloro now. That's a new one from the new Theros set. Draw 3 cards when it enters. Whenever you cast a spell, you lose a life. And whenever it becomes the target of a spell or ability, you sacrifice it. So that goes nicely with a Sun Titan. They jump up to 8 cards in hand. And they've got plenty of life to lose into that thing before it starts to be a worry for them. And holding up 2 blue mana over there, and they'll have to discard a card as well. Luckily, the ninjutsu are abilities and are much more difficult to counter in that regard. They get rid of the Whisper Silk Cloak that they revealed earlier on. Obviously paying for the creatures to stick around again, and hopefully we don't get bolted. We haven't had the best of luck. There we go. Haven't had the best of luck with Mana Crypt yet. Alright, a Baleful Strix. I think the aim is... I'd like to go Fallen Shinobi off of the Ornithopter. And then maybe Sakashima to copy the Fallen Shinobi. And we can bounce the Changeling Outcast, swing both of them in here and try and get some enchantment removal. So we'll play the Swamp. And that'll be 4, and then 2 for the copy. And we can play Viscera Seer. Yeah, we'll see what happens anyway. Swing that one into Oloro, hopefully get a Ninja Tutor. And then the 2 unblockables in at Go-Go. Then, in response to no blocks, we go for the Fallen Shinobi. And they're sacrificing the Sakura Tribe Elder in response. And then we'll make a copy of that with the Sakashima Student. So all of the ninjas should hit here. And we'll see what we get off of these zombie shinobis. Just a bunch of lands. I've already played a land, I think. Alright, and an Explore. Well, we can play that. And I think we can play the Plains if we don't draw into a land. We'll get a Ninja Trigger, which will allow us to search. And let's go for Silent Blade Oni now. And we can start trying to look at Outlaw's hand. Cast this Explore. Yeah, breaking my own rules with the Rhystic Study, feeding a lot of cards over to Outlaw. Alright, it's a land. Yeah, so we might as well get down that land, because we're going to have to... Oh, I was going to say, we're going to have to discard to hand size. Should have played the Plains there. So let's go for Ornithopter again. This time paying into the Study. And then we'll play the Changeling Outcast as well. Again, not paying for the Study. So pretty unlucky off of the Fallen Shinobi there. It's a bit too big and clunky to play in 1v1 really, but I have high hopes for it in multiplayer. Just got unlucky with it there with the 3 lands on the top. Oracle of Muldaya coming down from Atraxa. And we know they've got a Tundra in hand. They get Tropical Island off the top. And then they play that Tundra. They've got Inexorable Tide, which is obviously the Proliferate for their Planeswalkers. Then Atraxa swings in at us. We'll just take 4 points of commander damage there. I don't know if we've got Imprisoned in the Moon in this deck, actually. We probably should. Yeah, just had a quick look at the deck list and we do have Imprisoned in the Moon. Discarding a couple of shock lands down to hand size, and over we go to Go-Go Batman. Activating Selvala again. We knew what was on top here. Now we know that Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, is on top here. That's not good. What did they reveal themselves? They revealed a Harmonize. They're going for shared summons now. That's search for 2 creatures, I think. Yeah, 2 creature cards with different names. And over here they just revealed a Swamp. And from the shared summons they revealed Wirewood Symbiote and Scrib Ranger. So we're all going to be revealing and drawing a lot of cards here by the looks of it. So putting Teferi into the hand. And revealing Demonic Tutor. What else? There is Plains there that was revealed. And, Blightsteel Colossus. It's good to know what's going into people's hands, because what can we cast with this? That's top 2 cards. Silent Blade Oni. Look at a player's hand and cast a non-land card without paying the mana cost. I think I would like to grab the Teferi out of here. And then we can go for the Song of the Dryads. Oh, Humility's there as well. Jeez. There is Mage Right's Stone there. Gilded Goose. Humility's in the hand. Demonic Tutor's in the hand over there. They go for the Harmonize that we knew they had. And now they've got Venser on top. So what we could do is go for Venser, and then exile Yuriko the land and bring it back in at the end of the turn. That's one play we could go for. That Felwar Stone coming in for Oloro now. And they give the card draw with the Rhystic Study. They also lose a life to all their spells that are being cast. So now it's land tax on top because they obviously drew into the Venser. And a Smothering Tithe for Oloro. And discarding at the end of the turn, getting rid of that Blightsteel Colossus. We're going to have to pour a lot of mana into our creatures now. Okay, there's a mana leak, there's a Smothering Tithe trigger. I think we're going to have to think seriously about going for a Strip Mine onto that Tabernacle. Let's go for the Mana Vault first of all. And say no to the Rhystic Study. I want to see if I can attempt to get rid of Atraxa as soon as possible. Now, if we had more mana available to us, yeah, how different this game would be if it wasn't for the Tabernacle. Very, very powerful land. What we can do is get down the Silent Blade Oni and then hold up Mana Leak. Problem is, they're probably going to go straight in for Humility. Alright, well let's see what we can do. We'll take the Fallen Shinobi in at Oloro. We'll take an Ornithopter over here. And Changeling Outcast over here. We'll take Higger over at Oloro as well. We could make these ninjas unblockable with Higger of the Still Wind, but we don't have enough mana held up. Thanks to tapping out at the beginning of every turn, so we'll just see what we get into off of the top of Oloro's deck. And I am going to bounce the Changeling Outcast for the Oni. Oh, but they've got a flyer over there. I didn't look properly. The Scrib Ranger can block the Ornithopter. Doesn't really matter. So that triggers those a bunch of times. We'll get some cards off of the top of Oloro's deck. That's a Stuffy Doll and a Temple of the False God. And then a Curse of the Cabal. I think I used to have that in this deck to reveal with Yuriko. And then Higger of the Still Wind will trigger. We'll get to search for a Ninja. If that Humility comes down, I don't think it really matters what ninjas we go for, to be honest. They won't have any abilities. We'll just go for Walker of the Secret Ways, just in case we manage to bounce some stuff back to our hand. Silent Blade Oni triggers. And we'll have a look at Outlaw's 13 cards in hand. So Humility's coming down next turn no matter what. I'm half tempted for Demonic Tutor into the Strip Mine, to be honest. Yeah, a bunch of Planeswalkers in hand. I think we just have to go for this thing onto Outlaw. Yeah, let's go Demonic Tutor. Oh, a Deep Glow Skate on top now as well. That's not good. In fact, if Humility is going to hurt us so much, isn't it just going to make more sense that we go for Force of Will? We've got plenty of cards in hand. I really want rid of that Tabernacle, but I think we have to go for Force of Will. So in that case, we might as well go Temple of the False God. That's a little bit of ramp for us. Might as well cast the Stuffy Doll, which means Outlaw gets the Deep Glow Skate into hand, and revealing, a Tameo. We'll put the Stuffy Doll onto Oloro just to keep their life total down as best we can. And then this thing is going to force Outlaw to sacrifice half of his permanents rounded down. And yet again, they can have all the cards in the world if they can't cast them. How many permanents do they have? That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I think they have to sacrifice 5 there. And they've got the Vraska Relic Seeker on top now. Sacrificing Rhystic Study and the Sol Ring. The Tabernacle, that's really good to get rid of that. Getting rid of Tundra and Tropical Island as well. So they're left with 4 lands. Hopefully they'll get some off the top with the Oracle. And then I think we're okay to go in for the Changeling Outcast, just to try and ensure getting through damage again next turn. Don't have a Rhystic Study to worry about anymore. And finally, that can be the end of our turn. Oh, and a silence going off from Go-Go during Outlaw's turn. So Super Friends getting hated out. Surprised they didn't save the silence for us, to be honest. But we haven't been showing much hate towards Go-Go. They managed to rip 2 lands out, though, which is no surprise. They've got a bunch of cards in hand. And they've got Mana Vault off the top as well, so they're not necessarily out of it yet. It's obviously a very powerful deck that Outlaws built. In response to the Proliferate trigger, the Scrib Ranger is going to untap Selvala. And we all draw cards, adding a bunch of mana from the Smothering Tithe. Opal Palace, we've got a Negate, which is actually better than Mana Leak. What else? There's a Plains over here. And, oh yeah, of course, the Mana Vault, which puts a Flooded Strand on top. Oh, and now on top of Outlaw's library is a Cyclonic Rift. We're probably going to have to go in at them to try and cast that Cyclonic Rift before... Well, that's assuming they can't afford it already. 2-4, oh yeah, just enough to dodge the Cyclonic Rift. Elvish Harbinger coming down now, probably going for Priest of Titania. No, they go for Beast Whisperer. Don't have enough cards in hand, apparently. Going for it again, they draw into the Cyclonic Rift, draw into the Beast Whisperer, and draw into Words of Waste. The next time you would draw a card, each opponent discards one instead. Well, that's a powerful effect. We're going to let the Beast Whisperer come down. Then Magerite Stone untap Selvala again. And this time revealing Wayward Swordtooth off the top, a land over here. Increasing Ambition, we've got Thassa, which is not irrelevant. Then they play their Wayward Swordtooth, I dare say they've got another land to play. The Elvish Mystic comes back down. And the Gilded Goose comes down as well. Followed by the Gilded Goose. Village Bellringer now. When it enters, untap all creatures you control. I mean... Can we let that go? I don't think we can we? Yeah, we're just going to have to hope that Oloro doesn't do anything crazy. And we'll make use of this Mana Leak while we still can. I can't remember, after sitting here for so long, I can't remember if Scrib Ranger and this have been activated already or not. Might have been worth not bothering with that. Ah, no, they haven't. They haven't activated Scrib Ranger yet, so they can still get an untap with Selvala. So that was a pretty bad counter, actually, I think. This time, Soul Ring for us. Enlightened Tutor we already knew about. Overgrown Tomb is on top. And a Plains from Oloro. Now the Swiftfoot Boot shifts over to the Goose. Enlightened Tutor comes down in response from Outlaw. And they've gone for Spreading Plague on top. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, destroy all other creatures that share a colour with it. Wow. Yeah, we don't want them to have that, do we? Although it's a lot of world abilities that Outlaw's got here, so even if we cast them, it still affects us poorly. Spirit of the Labyrinth coming down for Selvala now. That's each player can't draw more than one card each turn. So they're going to stay at 10 cards in hand. Finally, getting round to Oloro's turn now, and they've got 12 cards in hand, a lot of which we already know about thanks to the reveal zone. Oloro getting rid of a lot of mana here. They're closing in on 20 at the moment. So I'm hoping that it's not just Torment of Hellfire or Exsanguinate, something boring like that. We do have Force of Will, but I imagine they're going to hold up counter magic to whatever big X spell that they're going for here. Okay, Devastation Tide, return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. I'm not actually against that, because I think we can rebuild quite well with the Akroma's Memorial. So I'm actually going to allow that. I'm just hoping they don't go into a wheel from here. We end up with our Yuriko in play because the Song of the Dryads is back in Gogo's hand. So they're going to be able to go for a tutor here, then 2 cards from the graveyard. They'll still have about 7 mana left over. So they might be able to win from this position. But maybe just setting up. Nevermore coming down now. Not too sure what they go for with that. Hopefully it's not Force of Will. It's Cyclonic Rift that they have named. Not worried about Cyclonic Rift anymore after the Devastation Tide. And I probably would have let a Rift go through as well. Taser Envoy of Ghosts. That ought to keep our ninjas away for a while. So it's definitely some kind of pillow fort deck our opponent's made. The tithe comes down again, so they are just rebuilding. I was afraid they were going to combo off there, but thankfully not. Propaganda. So if we let Oloro stick around for too long, it is actually going to be pretty tricky to get rid of him, because the one way for Dimir to get rid of Nevermore is Cyclonic Rift. I mean, we could try and carry on attempting to steal artifact and enchantment removal from Go-Go, and then point it at these things here. Each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. Ugh. We really have to Force of Will that. As much as I hate it, yeah, I really don't want to Force of Will that, but I think we have to. So let's get rid of Thassa, because we've got a means of making our creatures unblockable with Higger of the Still Wind. Really don't want to be sat here for much longer, to be honest. It's a really long, grindy one, this. Now, let's see if we can do anything during our turn without being interfered with too much. We drew into Rags and Riches. We really need to be getting into, what's it called, the Scroll Rack at some point soon, hopefully. Anyway, let's go Mana Crypt. And the Oloro player is holding up priority. They've got 2 blue held open, so we'll just have to... Well, we've got Negate anyway, so we're not too bad. Let's go for all the rocks that we can. And then I'm going to try and land a Chroma's Memorial. It might be that it just gets countered by Oloro, but that really does dictate how this turn plays out. So we know that we can play different cards if the Chroma's Memorial doesn't land. It does land. So now we've got... Well, we'll definitely get down Ornithopter. And then if we get down this thing, Arcane Adaptation, we can play 4 mana's worth of ninjas. That's 1, 2, 3, and I think that's it. Yeah, let's just go for the Arcane Adaptation. I don't think we can really do much of anything this turn. If we had the Scroll Rack in hand, then we could have set up a lot of damage, but we haven't been lucky enough to get into it, unfortunately. Obviously name Ninja to make all of our creatures ninjas. Play the Viscera Seer, which will be a Vampire Wizard Ninja. Play the Outcast as well. Then I think because of that humility that's in our opponent's hand, we have to hold up the Negate. So as much as I'd love to get down more creatures and deal more damage, we're only going to hit with 3 apparently. So let's go in at Go-Go with all 3 of them. And then that's 3 triggers. Let's see if we just end up revealing a bunch of lands. There's 1 land. There's a Signet. And there is a Mystical Tutor. The Misty Rainforest haven't played a land yet. Yeah, we've drawn into our big stuff and haven't revealed our big stuff off of Yuriko. Haven't had the best of luck there. Do we want to go for the Signet? I think we do. And that way we can either hold up Mystical Tutor or we can hold up Negate. Eventually getting down to Outlaw's turn now. They're going for a Mana Vault of their own. And it is Deploy the Gatewatch. Don't know if they've played a land this turn. I'm going to allow Deploy the Gatewatch just in case they play a land into Humility, because that'll just really mess us up, especially with not being able to play the Cyclonic Rift. Looks like they might have whiffed off of that though. Yeah, going straight in for land tax, so a whiff off of Deploy the Gatewatch. That's really unfortunate. So Outlaw's turn went a lot better than I was expecting there, to be honest. I'm now thinking that we could go in for Demonic Tutor onto the Mystical Tutor, go for Scroll Rack and play it next turn, then set up a nasty turn for our opponents. 1000 Year Elixir just seems like it's going to be setting up after the mass bounce. The Elvish Mystic comes down and it will be able to tap for mana. Birds of Paradise will also be able to tap for mana. Then following things up with a Wayward Swordtooth, that's a couple of lands being played this turn, no doubt. The Gilded Goose comes in as well, and that will be able to sacrifice the food token it makes. So maybe seeing the... there's the second land, so I was going to say we might be seeing the Scrib Ranger. No, the Mage Right's Stone is what they're going for. And ending the turn with 12 cards in hand, so just keep an eye on the graveyard to see what they discard. Sword of Body and Mind coming down now, and I imagine it goes on the Taser and they swing in because that does have Vigilance. The Taser's coming in at us, I think... I think because there's no power on the Ornithopter, and our aim currently is to swing in with a bunch of cheap stuff that can get through with Arcane Adaptation. I think I'm going to block with Ornithopter here. And completely forgot that this has protection from creatures, as I always do. So we're going to get milled, and our opponent is going to get a wolf. And it's fingers crossed that we don't get our scroll rack milled. Thankfully not. We've got some good stuff in there, including a Temporal Mastery. But we would have drawn into that next turn, of course, instead of revealing it off of Yuriko. Felidar Sovereign, they need 40 or more life, they're nowhere near that. So thankfully this is actually a fun Oloro build, and it's not a really obnoxious solitaire one by the looks of it. It's good that we've had an interactive game so far. It's Mystical Tutor for us into Demonic Tutor, I think. Yeah, let's go Demonic Tutor. Okay, so obviously we get into the Demonic Tutor. Let's go for the Signet first of all. We'll go for the Tutor and see if it sticks. There might be some free counter magic still floating around. And with that, we carefully don't misclick and go for the Scroll Rack. Scroll Rack will come down. Then we want this small unblockable blue creature. That does count as a ninja thanks to Arcane Adaptation. And don't forget, all of our stuff has evasion and haste thanks to Akroma's Memorial. We'll go for Invisible Stalker, which is an unblockable 1/1. And that will hit 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So if we go with 5 cards on top, we can do 11 there, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. 26, and then it's 36 with 2 5-drops, which takes out nearly all the players. Will be left with Go-Go to contend with. Now, can this thing block? Yes, it can, because they've got the City's Blessing. So we'll have to be careful of that, but let's go for the Scroll Rack. We're going to end up with all these cards back in hand. I'm actually going to go with putting 6 on top because we can ninjutsu out the Ornithopter. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. We'll say yes. Doesn't matter what order they go in because we're going to get them all back when we hit our opponent. Oh, and now we've got an extra turn card as well. We've also got that to swing in with. So let's drop the Catacomb. We'll go for Tetsuko as well. Oh, we don't have the extra turn held up now, do we? Because I went for that. Oh well. I think we're only going to be left with... Yeah, we could have won that turn, probably. Yeah, that's my mistake. Anyway. Yeah, I think we just want to swing everything in at Go-Go. All of our stuff is unblockable now, thanks to Tetsuko. So we just take everything in at Go-Go. Let me just make sure that I'm doing that right. Creatures with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1 and 1. None of those can be blocked then. Not going to bother with Sakashima's Student. I'm going to go for Sakashima's Student here. And we'll make it a copy of that Taser, I think. Just because it's got protection from creatures. I'm completely over-tapping. Hit our opponent for a little bit more damage thanks to the Ornithopter being swapped out. So we reveal 7 cards off the top now, 6 of which are big spells that we put there. And there we go. Oh, we've actually taken them down further than I thought we would. They go down to 5. So let's get down this Ornithopter again, ready to swing in again next turn. And we'll hold up Negate, just in case our opponent goes in for a board wipe. What was the extra card? It was an Urborg, so we can replace the one that just went down. So just a case of holding up Negate and hoping that our opponent can't do anything to us. We'll hold up. Actually, we're holding up Mana Drain, aren't we? Because we certainly want to counter their commander. Although, can they just recast their commander? Alright, it's Beast Whisperer first of all. Yeah, I think we just let them draw a bunch of cards and counter whatever it is that they go in for. Hopefully it's not Dragonlord Dramoka or something like that. I'm just hoping that they don't have enough mana to disrupt us here. There is the Selvala, so what can they do here? They need to put mana into their dorks in order to untap them. So I don't think they can get their Selvala down again. It would cost 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They wouldn't get all that much mana out of Selvala. Yeah, we'll just let Selvala come down, just in case they've got a board wipe or something. We could probably still squeak out a victory, even with a board wipe, thanks to a Chroma's Memorial. Untapping their Selvala after tapping it down. They have given us a Sunken Hollow, and they gave themselves Druid of the Cowl. Untapping it again, going for something else. And now it is a Vitalise. Untap all creatures you control, which they can afford to go for. Going for Wirewood Symbiote first. And it's a Strip Mine revealed from us this time. There's the Vitalise. I don't know how they can win. But if they do, then so be it. We've shown exactly what we want to do with Yuriko. And it's gone much better than I thought it would in this multiplayer game. Getting into a reality shift this time. And our opponent has Lantern of Insight. Elvish Mystic. They have 11 cards in hand. And showing us Elvish Archdruid. And giving us an Unblockable Ninja. Scrib Ranger coming down for more shenanigans with the Selvala. Seeker of Skybreak. Untap a target creature. Yep, they're just chaining a bunch of stuff. They make 5 mana out of the Archdruid. Then untap it with Seeker of Skybreak. Then play the Elvish Harbinger. And they just go for a Findhorn Elves with that. Getting down Avacyn's Pilgrim. Instill Energy. The enchanted creature can attack as though it had haste and 0 to untap it. You can only do it once each turn. And I don't think we have to worry about extra turns here, do we? So we'll just allow it. Untapping the Selvala and then going in for a tap down again, I dare say. Revealing a Copperhorn Scout. And a Cyclonic Rift for us. Grand Abolisher. That puts us in a tricky spot, doesn't it? That means that they can just combo off unhindered. I don't know what their combo is, though. I never really know what a Selvala deck is actually trying to do, to be honest. They haven't used the Scrib Ranger to untap yet. I don't think they've used Wirewood Symbiote either. So if we bounce that, they could just float mana in order to replay it again anyway. Yeah, we don't have any free counters. We can just hope for them. I don't think we have Pact of Negation in this deck, but I think we have to hope that we've got some more free counters to go for and counter the Grand Abolisher. Yeah, now using the Scrib Ranger, so they didn't go for it before. I was thinking about whether it was worth a Cyclonic Rift onto this, but I knew that they could untap it in response. Revealing a Nature's Law and a Mist-Cloaked Herald this time. Now Abundance. If you would draw a card, instead choose land or non-land and reveal cards until you hit one of them. Kenrith's Transformation. Yeah, that does change things actually. Although we've got the Rift so we can bounce everything if needs be. We just have to hope that we actually get round to our next turn. Going through to combat now, so hopefully that is the end of the chaining off. Yeah, going through to the cleanup steps, so it seems as though we're going to be able to get the win off next turn, hopefully. We get our 2 mana from the mana drain, which I don't think matters particularly. So let's go straight in for the Rift. Play Urborg. And then just to make sure, because I know full well that if I hit my opponent with all these creatures, we won't deal enough damage off of Yuriko to reveal 15 points worth of damage. That's just typically how it goes. Sometimes we'll end up leaving them at 1 or 2 or something like that. So let's go. That's 7, 14 and 15. Yeah, so we'll just do those 2. Don't want to waste my opponent's time. We're, as usual, behind on the clock. And then we just swing in with everything and reveal how many cards off the top there. That is 3, 6 and 7. And then we've always got an extra turn with Nexus of Fate, so we should be able to definitely get our opponent down this turn. Should have got them down last turn, but I made a slight error there. Oh, alright, a Path to Exile. I don't particularly care about Path to Exile, and we're certainly not going to shuffle our library. There's a time when I was less experienced, I would have gone in for the basic there and ended up shuffling the top 2 big cards. So there we go, knock our opponent down to 9, and then we've got, I think it's 14 or 15 on top, I can't remember how much we put on. And there we go, eventually getting rid of Gogo as well. Huge thank you to Gogo for playing that out. Gogo's shown a lot of patience today. Let's have a look. 1, 2, 3 and 4 more cards we would have revealed off of Yuriko, which would have been some lands. And the Commit to Memory, which is 6, that's 10 more damage. So I think we were getting our opponent either way there. Be sure to leave this one a big thumbs up and subscribe if you want to keep up to date with the channel. Huge shout out to the patrons for having some really fun games with me today, and be sure to thank them as well, because it's thanks to them that we can get these fun games on the go. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.